All right, we're back, and we just did T is 10. Let us go up here and get our next test. We're still in the tens. Let's triangulate with Jack is 10. You know, I can kind of see the handwriting on the wall here. Let's just add it to this test because that's what this ended up for numbers. I'm imagining the same thing for this as well. Let me put my comment up here so I have that. All right, so we're doing Jack is 10 as well. Cool. All right, save that. Let this run. Compile and run. And we see expected 10-bit was 26. So we got the same problem. And the issue is now, okay, it detects 10, but the T for 10, but not J for Jack. So why don't we just add that to the condition? Card equals Jack. It passes. Okay. And let's go ahead and, oops, let's see. Oh, we forgot to commit the failure. So I'm going to back that out for a second. I want to, again, the purpose of committing at this tiny level is just to demonstrate to anybody else who looks at a repository that we were using TDD. In practice, I would not do that. But for education purposes and for demonstration to others, and for this exercise, you will be doing that as well, to demonstrate to me that you're using TDD. All right, so we got 10 was 26 is a failure. Okay, good. So Jack is 10. That's failing. Okay, done. And then the pass, to pass it, oops, redo that part. And come back in, and it should pass. Okay, and let's go ahead and it passed, so let's go ahead and call this a pass here. Now is it clean? Well, we're starting to see a trend for the duplication. So this part, we could clean this out. This could be a method that decides if something is a 10. Okay, so that's one thing. Why don't we go ahead and make that change now? So we're going to replace this with is 10 and then pass it the card. Okay, and we will make a private Boolean because it's a helper method, is 10. It takes a char as card, that is the card, and returns the card as that. Now, we can actually make this a little simpler by removing the parameter and just using the card that's in here. But I implemented it this way because honestly, I know that in a minute here, we're going to get to a part where we have to generalize to multiple cards. So this will work. If you don't know that, you're just going to generalize it later. That's fine. So I just went for what I thought was kind of obvious, pass it something and give back something. All right. So that cleans that up, makes that read nicer. If is 10 card, return 10, otherwise return this thing. Okay. How about over here? We can get rid of this comment. Now I'm definitely seeing this duplication in the code. I'm seeing assert card as value with, multiple things. I can fix this by turning these into a loop over, basically it looks like I have a pair of data values that are for each of my tests, right? So for example, I could do this. Now these are different types. One is a char and one is an int. So I would really like to have like a pair or something. What I'll do is I'll use an object array and call it data. All right, and this object array contains pairs. So we'll do like 10 and T and 10 like this. The trick is in Java, we have auto boxing working in our favor. So this char will be converted into a character, an instance of a character class. This 10 will be converted to a auto boxed into an integer object. But we don't have to worry about that. That's at least not at this point, which is great. We can just put it in an array like this. And let's do the same thing for this one. Okay. So far, so good. Nothing should be breaking. Let's make sure. Not breaking in my tests. I'm keeping them passing because I'm in a refactoring process here. Cleaning it up. Okay, so trying to remove duplication. So now this assert card we can stick in a loop. So if we do for int I equals 0, I'm just putting in my normal loop parameters, length I plus plus. Then what I'm going to do is take this into here. You know what? I'm going too many steps. Let's back up a second. Let's leave that loop alone. That's fine. It won't break anything. It's just going to be a loop that does nothing. Great. Let's generalize this. Let's turn these into the parameters that they would be in the data object and make sure it still works. So data of 0. Let's start there. Waiting for it to recompile and retest. No, it's not happy because object cannot be converted to a char. It doesn't know it's a char. Well, what happens if we do char? Cast. It likes it. I like it too. Okay. We could do the same thing for this, right? In this case, it's going to be an int of 1, right? 0, 1. Nice. Okay, that's all working. So now I can start seeing what I really want to do is put that in a loop and replace this with I and this with I plus 1. Now I'm seeing that I should be going not incrementing by 1, but I want to skip, right? So this is 0, this is 1. Okay, that's in one pass of the loop. And then I want to do 2 and 3. So I really want to be incrementing by 2 each pass of the loop. And if all goes well, that does in fact work. Lovely. And notice I can do the same kind of loop down here. So let's do that. Let's make the same conversion. I'm going to take this, copy it down here. Now it's actually getting uglier if you notice. This is getting worse, not better. But let's trust the fact that when I remove duplication, that generally it will get cleaner. All right. So 2s, 6s. Okay. And I can remove these, and those are making the same test. Sure enough, it worked. All right. Now I'm seeing duplicate code between this for loop. So that's really what's happening is I was able to take this assert card is value that we were doing multiple times, turn it into a loop instead. And now, and across these two methods, I see I have the same thing. So that means I should have a function. So what should this be? Assert cards as values. I'm trying to generalize. I'm not sure that's the greatest name. I'm not being very creative and inventive at the moment, so I gotta go with it. And we should pass it the data. And this is the loop that will happen. Let's move it into a method. The method is assert cards has values. Let's see, void here. This is the parameter is object array data. It just does that for each one. And let's see if that passed. Sure enough, it does. Things are looking good. So now I can move this down below, down here, and turn this into the same call. Look at that. Beautiful. So now what I've got is an array of data that I pass to this assert method that runs through them all and calls this assert method all over the place. Everything passes. I've removed duplication. Now, the question is this cleaner? Does this really read better? So I'm checking that. Well, first of all, this should be test 10s now. So I'm testing 10s, that T is 10, J is 10, and we assert that those have those values. 2 is 2. I think it's okay. So it's not bad. Maybe we could do better, but I'm okay with this now. Tightened it up, a lot less duplication. I can still see there is some duplication, but you'll notice that most of this now, a lot of this, is the data itself. So I can't really get rid of that. Now let's go ahead and put that, before I call this done, let's look at this. So I've got 10 and Jack being dealt with. And that supposedly ends my 10s section, but notice I haven't covered all the 10s. I will note that my implementation does cover all the numbers implicitly, but it doesn't cover all the 10s. I'm not checking for them all. So I'm noticing that. That's kind of some white box issue, right? I'm noticing something about my tests. So let's put a little note about king being a 10 and queen being a 10. Those are not covered yet. I think we can just add those pretty easily, but let's just make a note of it now because we were just trying to clean up things. We're not doing that part yet. Okay, mark this as clean, and that part's done. Let's check our log and see how nice our log is looking. Cool, so we failed Jack 10, passed Jack 10, clean Jack 10. Okay, and I think that will end this video.